The tough thing is, like, in a hospital-based, like, malpractice situation, some of that is, like, wrongful death, right? Like, "Hey, my mom died. I'm gonna sue you."
That's what I was
So
gonna say.
how do you resolve that?
When I was in the hospital, I was in labor and delivery, and it's any bad case is terrible. So that's Josh, like what you're saying. You don't apologize because I mean, not me personally, but from like the OB side, they're not gonna apologize if somebody thinks that their baby died because of a ruptured placenta or a cord prolapse or something that can happen. We're human bodies and they do wacky things, but it was such high litigation. That's why I left the area, even though I loved it, is just because like you can't really protect yourself in an area where it's so tragic and so emotionally charged because,
But
people are
yeah,
going
but
to sue.
my question is, they're gonna sue anyways,
Yeah.
and even if you apologized, I always wonder about things like this. There's situations like, when you go into hospital and say, "I have the worst headache of my life," you're gonna get a CT scan, even though they're
Yeah.
like, the likelihood of brain bleed is very low, like, so could you reduce that? But they're like, "It's so bad that if you miss it, it's a problem." I'm wondering, in these cases, if that doctor did apologize, does that really in the end net out a negative effect?
Well,
Because I would think that you're apologizing and offering empathy, at some point, you're gonna get less lawsuits, which affect the thing, right?
well,
It was very helpful, Christy, to kind of pull out that information from a hospital setting because personally, I haven't worked. I like volunteered in a hospital, but I've never been employed in a hospital setting. So interesting
Yeah.
to see from that perspective.
Well, and I think Josh is right. I think most humans, if we acknowledge the situation, even without making ourselves culpable for it, if we just acknowledge like whatever and we try to do what we can to, there's no way you can write situations like that, but
Yeah.
acknowledge what went wrong and, put our heart out to them as humans, right? Connect that, like the very first question, connect with them on a human basis. I think that overall, or maybe over a 20-year practice, that probably would decrease your malpractice claims. However, when you are part of a big managed care system, that's not always your call. And the other thing, the practical side of it is that like you have your legal protection, you have your own malpractice, but you also have your legal protection through the hospital. So if there's something that goes down, like somebody else brought up, everyone's going to get involved. Everyone's going to have their name on that lawsuit. And if you're kind of going rogue, yes, you are putting other people at risk and not only risking your protection from the hospital legally, but maybe other people's as well. So I think that's where it gets kind of dicey to just kind of like wrap all of that kind of stuff up.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Trust Driven Trivia, brought to you by Trust Driven Care. Imagine a world where all your patient communication is in one place, seamless, effortless, and on autopilot. That's the power of Trust Driven Care. If you're ready to streamline your practice, check out trustdrivencare.com and see what's possible. Join us next week for more laughs, new guests, and fresh questions that turn medical research into pure fun. Trust Driven Trivia, making healthcare knowledge exciting, one question at a time.